angles, but I'm not a really big, firm proponent on making sure you know the names. It's helpful. It's helpful, but let me see. I would recommend using some kind of straight edge for these to make sure your diagram is clear. I'm always delighted to see when somebody has spent extra time making their homework neat. You'll see that it pays off, especially when we're talking about geometric concepts like this. So I'm going to draw two parallel lines.
1, 2, no, not yet. 2. Oh, that's a dot. That's a line. 2.
Okay, so those are the parallel lines, but they're not parallel yet. Your rebuttal might be, but they look like it.
It's that way. Gotta go that way. That
Parallel lines can go in any direction,
I
so
know.
long as they are parallel. In order for them to be parallel, you're going to learn one of two ways. The first will be that it has the right symbol, okay? That they have this little arrow pointing in the same direction. Sometimes it's 2, sometimes it's 1, but they both have like a little arrow there. That is indicating that line L is parallel.
To line B.
That's an M.
Oh.
My handwriting is bad. It's not that bad.
It is that bad.
It's not as bad as not. No, I didn't see it.
That's also possible. That's a little symbol there. It's like a little tiny pair of parallel lines. Now, parallel lines don't just come in pairs, but that's typically the only thing we're going to study. Neither of these is a transversal. The transversal is going to be the line that intersects them both. Okay? So,
Does it go parallel?
we're going to call it line T for transversal. T is the transversal. Okay?
Or is it supposed to be in the middle?
It doesn't matter. You see, the lines, by definition, have no end, so there's technically not a middle. That's a strange concept. If you really think about it, it might hurt your brain. It hurts mine. So, what are we supposed to do about this? Well, let's make sure we understand that parallel lines never cross and never intersect, and so you could kind of think they're going at the same angle relative to some horizontal, right? You know, if there was some imaginary ground down here, right, this angle and this angle, they would be the same. That's part of the definition of being parallel. So, there's some relationships here. And Lesson 97, in a nutshell, is actually very simple. If I can find my black pen, it would be even simpler. So, I'm going to give you some letters, and I know that seems silly, but you're going to be able to tell me some past information, and then we're going to make connections to something new.
Shouldn't there be like letters on the bottom?
I'm going to get to those. There should be, yes. Okay? But A, B, C, and D are 4 potentially different angles, right? But we learned about something called vertical angles. Vertical angles, one closes down and opens up into the same one. We used something called linear pairs to prove that. So that's true that A and D are the same angle, and B and C, those are also going to be equal. But here's the new information. That's actually not new. The new information is that because line L and M are parallel, the transversal hits them the same way. Okay, it hits them exactly the same way. So even though I'm going to use 4 different letters, we're going to make this connection. A and E are the same. B and F are the same. C and G, D and H. And all of those other connections that are already true. So let's make a few statements here. Corresponding. Corresponding angles. What does the word correspond mean? I mean, like, in a 6th grade vocabulary word. Correspond.
Equal to.
Sort of. The same,
Opposite.
sort of. Are you raising your hand? I can't tell.
So I think they meet. Correspond
They meet?
means they match up.
They match up. Okay. So somebody said they're equal. Somebody said you said they meet together, they match up. I want to draw your attention to, if I said the upper left angle in this intersection, what would you say? The upper left. A. What is the upper left of this intersection?
E. Left and right. What'd you say?
That's a problem that you need to work on. Okay, so angles A and E correspond because they're both upper left. And because the lines are parallel, they're actually equal. There are 4 other pairs of corresponding angles. Can you give me one? B, F,
G.
G and what? What does G correspond with?
D.
No.
Oh, wait.
G is lower left.
Wait.
C is lower left. And then one more. D and H. Again, corresponding. I'm going to choose Liam's word for being the clearest one to help us remember. They match up in terms of their location. Okay? If you want to go south, southwest. Southwest, southwest. Northwest, northwest. I mean, that makes sense to me because I like directions. But corresponding angles are congruent. Okay? What does congruent mean? Do what? The same, equal. Okay? Well, that's not all. Because you'll notice D and E are equal. So I'm going to write something here. I'm going to write interior. What does that word mean?
The outside.
Exterior means it's outside. Interior means it's inside.
Oh.
All right, exterior is outside of the intersection. Interior is inside. So, I want to draw your attention to 2 pairs of angles in the interior that are equal. Let's see if I can make sure we can see all of this information. Alternate interior angles. And they are congruent. So, angle D and angle, what is congruent to D? Just look at the color.
A.
E. It's E. You see they're both yellow?
Oh, wait.
They're going to be the same. Angle C and angle F. Are there any other alternate interior angles? Alternate, wait a minute. Alternating. What does that mean?
Alternating means they're switching.
Switching sides. Is that what you're going to say?
Yes.
Okay.
You interrupted me, Leon.
All right.
Not okay.
Alternating. Well, I'll give you a chance to make up for it. Alternating exterior. I can't write. Exterior angles, okay?
So the alternate
Outside and inside.
Interior for G
Both
or for
exterior split.
Since G and A, for what?
B. The alternate interior for G would be B.
G is
I'm
exterior.
an exterior.
Good. Okay, so G is on the alternate side of B, both of them being exterior. So alternate exterior, right? We have G and B. What else do we have?
H.
H and
Exterior? Yeah,
A. Good. So you can begin to put together that these are just vocabulary terms, but they help us see relationships, that these angles have to be the same. So alternate exterior. They're on alternate sides of the transversal, and they're on the exterior of the parallel lines. Okay, maybe you think about like a road on the interior. Maybe not. If you don't know your left from right, that's probably not a good idea. So A and H are on alternate sides of the transversal, but they're both exterior. So they're always congruent when these lines are parallel. So this might seem like a lot, but that's actually the entire lesson for 97. So what are problems going to look like? So I've got time for one example. Does everybody have this information? Again, these words are spelled correctly in here, but they're written more neatly in your book. So what you would be given, can I scroll down? Does anybody still need that? What you would be given, let's draw our transversal here. You're going to be given at maybe just one angle here and asked to find all of the others. Okay, so we'll say that this one is 100 degrees, and we'll say that this one is 100 degrees, And I'd ask you to be able to find angle A, B, C, D, E, and F. So why did I put 100 in two places?
Because they're both equal to each other.
Well, if they're equal, then that proves something about the lines. Well, they don't correspond necessarily, but if those, no, wait a minute. We just wrote down like all the categories. What are those? Are those? They are congruent because of the same number, but they're alternate exterior. Because they're alternating exterior angles, that proves that the lines are parallel. If it proves that the lines are parallel, then it proves that angle A is equal to what?
80.
80. Wait, how'd you know that?
Because I subtracted 100.
All right, so hold that thought for just a second, because that doesn't have to do with the parallel part, but it does have to do with the number. If these lines are parallel, then it means A and E are the same, doesn't it?
Yeah.
And now if we go to what Liam said, since Liam said that had to be 80, since the entire thing is 180, do you remember what we called that? Two angles that work together as a pair to form a line?
Parallel.
A pair to form a line. We call that a linear pair. There were two angles that work together, add up to make 180 degrees. Well, if you knew that, you could figure that out before you did anything else. Then we go to all the parallel relationships here. So we know that A is 80, therefore E is 80, therefore F is 80, right? What others could I figure out? Are there any other 100s?
Yeah.
C is 100. Any other ones?
D is 100.
D is 100. Again, how are we figuring that out? Once you establish that these two lines are parallel, then you can begin to look for all of these categories. Where are the corresponding? Where are the alternate interior? Where are the alternate exterior? So that's an example of